Love Across Rivals, Season 3. Maya and Adrian had successfully escaped their families and started anew in a quiet town across the border. They lived simply, working hard every day to establish their lives from scratch. It wasn't the luxury they had once known, but it was theirs, and that felt like a victory in itself. Adrian had found a small but steady job at a local architecture firm, while Maya, with a fierce determination, was excelling at her studies. They had built a modest, peaceful life away from the chaos of their past lives. It felt almost perfect. But as the weeks passed, a letter arrived for Maya. It was from her mother. The words in the letter were both an apology and a warning. Maya, your father has accepted that you've chosen your own path, but know this, no one is safe. If you and Adrian truly think you can escape the consequences of your actions, think again. Maya's hands trembled as she read it. She showed Adrian the letter in silence, and they both knew what it meant. Their families had found them. Adrian and Maya could no longer hide from the fact that their families were actively searching for them. Maya's father, Raj, had resources and connections that spanned far beyond the borders of their country. His reach was infinite, and his rage unstoppable. They couldn't stay in the town forever. The threat of discovery was growing by the day. They knew they had to leave, but the question was to leave to where? They couldn't just run to another place and expect to escape again. Adrian made a decision. We need to go to the city. I know someone there who might be able to help us disappear completely. It is our only option now. Maya's heart ached. She had hoped for so long that they could start fresh, but the past never truly let them go. The ghosts of their families, their betrayals, their choices, they were closing in on them. And no matter where they ran, it seemed that escape was impossible. Maya and Adrian arrived in the bustling city with nothing but the clothes on their backs and few $1,000s between them. The city was a world apart from the peaceful hills they'd come to love, but it was their only chance. They met with Adrian's contact, an old friend named Raghav, who worked in the city's underground network. Raghav had helped people disappear before, and he had the resources to help them now, but it came with a price. It won't be easy, Raghav warned. You can't keep running forever, but if you want to get out of this, there's a way. It is risky, but it might just work. Maya and Adrian had no choice. They were in too deep. And so, they began the process of disappearing. Raghav arranged new identities for them, but the process would take weeks. In the meantime, they had to stay hidden, far from prying eyes, far from anyone who might recognize them. They took refuge in a small, run-down apartment. The walls were thin, the furniture sparse, but it was their own haven for now. Maya sat by the window one evening, looking at the city lights, her thoughts heavy. Do you think we will ever be free, Adrian? She asked softly. He sat beside her, his hands gently resting on hers. We are free, Maya. No matter what happens, we are together. That's all that matters. But deep down, both of them knew that their fight was far from over. The end of one battle did not mean the end of their war. The days in the city were a blur of paperwork and new identities. They didn't leave the apartment much, just enough to go to the store, check in with Raghav, and keep a low profile. Every knock on the door sent a jolt of fear through their bodies. Every car that passed seemed to be watching them. They were living in constant anxiety. But one day, Maya received an unexpected call. It was from Anaya. I don't know where you are, Anaya's voice trembled over the phone. But Raj, he's planning to come after you. I don't know what to do. Maya's heart skipped. Anaya, please. You need to stay away from him. You have to. I can't. Anaya interrupted. I don't have a choice. Raj won't stop until he finds you, Maya. You don't understand. He's been getting closer. Maya's thoughts raised. She could hear the desperation in her cousin's voice. Raj's grip on his family and on Maya was tightening. There was nothing she could do to stop it. I'm sorry, Maya, Anaya continued, but I had to warn you. Maya sat in silence, her hands shaking. Adrian watched her closely, sensing a shift in her mood. What's wrong? It's Anaya. She says my father's getting closer. He's coming for us. Adrian held her tight. We can't stay here. We need to leave now. As Raj's search for them grew more intense, Maya and Adrian had no choice but to accelerate their plans. They couldn't keep hiding in the city indefinitely. They had to disappear, this time for good. They met with Raghav once again. Their plan was simple. They would leave the country entirely with new identities and a new life, far from everything they knew. But they would have to cross a border that wasn't as easy to navigate as the last one. It would require bribes, paperwork, and an underground network to help them cross without being detected. We can do this, Adrian said, his voice steady but filled with determination. We've come this far, we won't stop now. But even as they made their final preparations, the threat of Raj and Maya's family closing in on them was undeniable. Maya's heart raced with fear, knowing that this would be their final attempt at escaping everything. If it didn't work, there would be no second chance. Adrian and Maya had no more time to waste. They had spent the last few days in a frenzy of preparation, gathering what little they had left and making plans to leave the country once and for all. The city, with all its chaos and noise, had been a temporary refuge, but now the walls were closing in. They had to act quickly. Raghav had arranged for a contact at the border, a man who could get them across undetected. The plan was risky. Crossing into a neighboring country would require both money and connections, and if anything went wrong, they would be caught. Maya felt the pressure weighing on her shoulders. This was the last chance they had to start fresh, but the fear that something would go wrong was always in the back of her mind. She turned to Adrian, who had been her rock through all of this. His calmness in the face of danger gave her strength. We are in this together, he said, taking her hand. No matter what happens, I'll be with you. And for the first time in a long time, Maya felt a sense of peace. She could do this. They could do this. The night of their escape had arrived. Everything had been set into motion. They left their apartment with only the essentials, documents, money, and their passport, prepared to make the dangerous journey through the city to their border. Raghav's contact was waiting for them in an abandoned warehouse on the outskirts of town. The man was tall, with a rough look about him, but he was trustworthy. They had no choice but to trust him. We move quickly, the contact said. As they followed him through the darkened street, once you cross into the next town, you will be safe. Adrian and Maya exchanged a glance, their hearts pounding. They had heard stories about people trying to escape only to be caught by border patrols or be betrayed by someone they trusted. But they had no other choice. This was their only shot. As they neared the border, Maya's breath caught in her throat. The guards were on high alert, and every step they took felt like a risk. But the contact led them through hidden paths, avoiding the main checkpoint. It was a tense, silent journey, and each moment feeling like it could be their last. Finally, after hours of walking, they reached the border. There were no guards in sight, but the sense of danger was palpable. Go, the contact urged. gesturing towards the other side. "You're almost there." Maya and Adrian exchanged a glance. This was it, the moment that would decide their fate. Hand in hand, they crossed the border, leaving everything behind. As they stepped onto the new soil, the weight of their escape hit them. "We did it," Maya whispered, her voice breaking with emotion. Adrian smiled, pulling her close. "We are free." As they walked deeper into the unknown, neither of them could shake the feeling that their journey was far from over. After crossing the border, Adrian and Maya finally arrived at a small town where they could start over. They were exhausted, physically and emotionally drained from the journey, but they knew it was the beginning of their life. Raghav's contact had given them a place to stay, a small, humble house in a quiet neighborhood. It was far from the luxury they had once known, but it was enough. They had each other, and for now, that was all that mattered. Maya enrolled in a local university, continuing her studies in a foreign country. Adrian found work at a small design firm, starting from the ground up once again. Though it wasn't easy, they were making progress, building a life together one step at a time. But the shadows of their past still loomed large. Every knock on the door, every unfamiliar face on the street made them wary. Maya couldn't shake the feeling that they were being watched. Her father's influence extended far beyond their homeland, and she knew it wouldn't be long before their past caught up to them. As she sat with Adrian one evening, gazing at the stars through the small window of their new home, she spoke softly. "Do you think we will ever be truly free, Adrian?" Adrian sat beside her, his arm around her shoulders. "We are free, Maya. We made it. You can't forget that we will always be stronger together, no matter what happens." Maya smiled, leaning against him. For the first time in a long while, she allowed herself to believe in the possibility of peace. They had fought for their love, and they had won. But as they looked towards the future, they both knew that the road ahead was uncertain. Would they ever truly be free of their families? Or would they be forced to face them once again? It had been several months since Maya and Adrian crossed the border and started their new life. They were building a life for themselves in a foreign land, but the past, as always, wasn't far behind. Maya was attending her classes, focusing on her studies, while Adrian worked long hours at his new job, designing blueprints for a local firm. Despite the challenges, there was a sense of stability between them, a rhythm to their days. Yet, the weight of their situation was still pressing on their shoulders. One afternoon, as Maya walked home from the university, she had a chance encounter that shook her to the core. She had just turned a corner when she nearly collided with a familiar face, her breath caught in her throat. It was Anaya. "Maya." Anaya's voice was shaking, and her eyes darted nervously, as if she was afraid someone would see her. Maya's heart raced. She stepped back, looking round to ensure no one else was in sight. "What are you doing here? How did you find me?" "I had to see you," Anaya whispered, glancing around again. "Raj, he's still looking for you. He knows you are here. He's been asking questions." Maya's blood ran cold. "What? How?" "I don't know, but he's close, Maya. I couldn't stay away. I had to warn you." Adrian's face flashed in Maya's mind. She had promised him they would be safe, that they had outrun their past, but it seemed that promise was crumbling. "I'm sorry," Anaya added. "I couldn't keep quiet. He's coming. I don't know how much longer you have." With that, she turned and disappeared into the crowd, leaving Maya frozen in the street, the weight of her worst fear settling in. Maya rushed home, her mind spinning with the news from Anaya. Her family had found them again, and Raj Rich had finally caught up with them. She had hoped that their escape would lead to peace, but now It seemed like the nightmare was only beginning. Adrian was at the kitchen table, working on his laptop, when Maya walked in. His eyes lifted to meet hers, but the moment he saw her face, he knew something was wrong. "Maya," he asked, his voice filled with concern. "What happened?" She took a deep breath, trying to steady herself, but the words came out in a rush. "Anaya found me. Raj knows we are here. He's coming for us, Adrian. He hasn't given up." Adrian stood up, his face going pale. No, this can't be happening. We left everything behind. We are supposed to be safe." "I thought we were," Maya whispered, the tears she had been holding back finally slipping down her cheeks. "But we are not. I should have known. My father doesn't stop. He never stops." Adrian wrapped his arms around her, pulling her close. "We will fight him, Maya. We've come this far. We are not going to let him destroy everything we've built." But even as he said the words, the uncertainty loomed large. Raj wasn't just a father. He was a powerful man with resources, connections, and an obsession with controlling his daughter. Adrian knew this would be their hardest battle yet. "We have to leave," Maya said, her voice hoarse. "We can't wait for him to find us. We need to go." Adrian nodded, his mind already racing through their options. "We'll figure it out, but this time we can't be careless. We need to be smart about it." As they stood together, holding each other in the small apartment that had become their sanctuary, they knew that their fight for freedom was far from over. The battle with Maya's father had only just begun. Maya and Adrian knew they had to leave the city, fast, but leaving meant more than just packing their bags and moving. They had to disappear completely, cut all ties to their past, and never look back. The question was, how could they do it without being caught again? Adrian's mind raced as he thought about their options. "I have a contact, someone who might be able to help us," he said quietly after some deliberation. "But it won't be cheap, and it might not be safe." Maya looked at him, her eyes filled with doubt but also determination. "Do we have a choice? We can't stay here with Raj closing in. We need to take this risk, Adrian." Adrian hesitated for a moment before nodding. He had always been the one to protect Maya, but now they were both in this together. Whatever it took to keep them safe, he would do it. They arranged to meet the contact, an old acquaintance of Adrian's who had once worked in the criminal underworld, a man named Vinod. Vinod was known for helping people disappear, but his methods were murky, and his services didn't come without strings attached. But Adrian had no options left. When they met in a dimly lit cafe, Vinod looked at them with cold eyes, sizing them up before speaking. "I can help you cross the border and start a new life," he said bluntly, "but you owe me a favor. I don't do charity, and I don't make deals without getting something in return." Maya and Adrian exchanged a glance. There was no other way, and they had no time to waste. "Agreed," Adrian said, knowing that, whatever the cost, it was their only shot at freedom. Over the next few days, Maya and Adrian worked with Vinod to finalize the plan. They had to move quickly. As Raj's network was closing in on them, Vinod arranged for their new identities, travel papers, and a way for them to cross into a neighboring country without being detected. But there was always complications, and the more they dealt with Vinod, the more they realized just how dangerous this was becoming. As they prepared to leave, Adrian grew uneasy. "I don't trust him, Maya. He's too unpredictable. What if something goes wrong?" "I don't trust him either," Maya admitted. "But what other choice do we have? If we don't leave now, we won't have a chance." Adrian reluctantly agreed, and they both tried to push their fears aside as they packed their few belongings. They had no family left to turn to, and their old lives were nothing more than painful memories. They were alone in this, and the only thing they could rely on was each other. Vinod arranged for them to leave the city under cover of night. They would travel by train to a remote town near the border, then cross over to the neighboring country. But even as they walked through the empty streets toward the train station, a sense of unease settled over them. Something didn't feel right. As they boarded the train, Maya's mind raced. Was this truly their escape, or was it a trap set by Raj? She tried to push the thoughts away, but the fear gnawed at her. The train rattled along the tracks, and as they neared the border, Adrian could feel his pulse quicken. This was it, the final stretch. They would either make it to safety, or everything they had fought for would be shattered. As they neared the border, their worst fear came to reality. The train came to a sudden halt. The lights flickered, and the sound of approaching sirens echoed through the night air. "Raj," Maya whispered, panic rising in her chest. Adrian's heart sank. No, it can't be him. We were careful. But before they could react, the train doors were flung open, and armed men stormed in, led by none other than Raj himself. "You thought you could escape, Maya?" Raj's voice was cold and filled with fury. "I always find you." Maya's blood ran cold as she clutched Adrian's hand. They were trapped. The man who had been hunting them for so long had finally caught up. Maya's heart raced as Raj's men flooded the train, their boots echoing in the cramped space. Adrian pulled her close, trying to shield her from the storm that was about to erupt. But there was no escape now. They had been found. Raj stepped into the car, his eyes dark with anger. His presence was suffocating, the weight of his power pressing down on them. He had always been in control, and now it seemed that nothing would stop him from taking Maya back. "You think you can outrun me?" Raj's voice was calm, but the menace in it was palpable. "You've made a fool of me for the last time, Maya." Maya stood frozen, her mind racing with fear. She had tried to escape, to build a life with Adrian, but now it seemed that all of it had been for nothing. Adrian stepped forward, his voice steady but filled with defiance. "You can't have her, Raj. We are not going back." Raj's gaze shifted to Adrian, narrowing as if seeing him for the first time. "You, the man who's been hiding behind my daughter, do you think you can stop me?" Maya grabbed Adrian's hand, squeezing it tightly. "You've come too far to give up now." Raj's eyes flicked between them. He had always been a man of control, and the thought that his daughter had chosen another life, one without him, was unbearable. He sneered, his voice dripping with disdain. "You will regret this, Maya. You can never escape your bloodline, your family, your name. You belong to me." But as he reached for her, something inside Maya snapped. She had spent her life trying to please him, trying to conform to his expectations. It had never been enough. Now all she wanted was freedom. "You don't control me anymore," Maya shouted, her voice trembling with fury. "I'm not your possession. I'm not your puppet." Raj's expression faltered for a moment, but it was quickly replaced by cold fury. "You will come home with me, or I will make you regret it." But before Raj could act, a gunshot rang out, shattering the tension in the air. Everyone froze. It wasn't Raj who had fired the shot. It was one of his own men. "Enough!" A voice called from the back of the train car. It was Vinod. Maya's heart skipped a beat. Vinod had been their contact, the one who promised to help them escape. But now it seemed that his involvement ran much deeper than they had known. Raj turned sharply toward Vinod, his anger boiling over. "You, what's the meaning of this?" Vinod stepped forward, a cold smile on his lips. "You've been chasing ghosts for too long, Raj. It's time to let go." Maya's eyes widened. Had Vinod been playing both sides all along? Was this all part of a larger plan? The train car was filled with a tense silence as Venard took control of the situation. His men, who had been hidden in the shadows, moved swiftly, surrounding Raj's men with military precision. Maya and Adrian stood still, unsure of what was happening, but Venard's presence seemed to command the room. Raj's eyes burned with fury as he stared at Venard. "You betrayed me. You know what I'm capable of, Venard. You won't get away with this." Venard didn't flinch. "I've been waiting for this moment for a long time. You've outlived your usefulness, Raj. The world has changed, and so must you." Maya's mind was reeling. She had trusted Venard enough to think he was their way out, but now it seemed that he had his own agenda. Was he just another man trying to manipulate their lives, just like Raj? Or was he someone who could finally end her father's control over her? Raj's expression darkened as he realized that the power he had always wielded over his daughter was slipping away. His empire was crumbling, and the last person who could keep it intact was the person he thought he could control, Maya. "I won't let you take her from me," Raj spat, his hand moving toward his pocket, where he kept a gun. But before he could make a move, Adrian stepped forward, his own gun drawn. "She's not yours to take anymore." The tension in the air was unbearable as the two men stood facing each other. Raj's expression was a mixture of anger and disbelief. How had his world, his control over everything, come to this? Maya looked at Adrian, her heart torn. She had never wanted things to escalate to this point, but now, with her father threatening them both, she realized there was no turning back. This was the final battle. "You don't understand, Maya," Raj said, his voice filled with a desperation she had never heard before. "You are my legacy. Without you, I have nothing." Maya felt a pang of guilt, but it was quickly overshadowed by her own need for freedom. She had been living in the shadow of her father's legacy for too long, and she couldn't go back to that life. With a final glance at Adrian, she turned toward Venard, who was still holding control of the situation. "Is this really over?" she asked, her voice quiet but resolute. Venard nodded, his eyes serious. "It's over, Maya. Your father's reign ends here." The train car was filled with the sound of Raj's men being restrained, and in that moment, Maya felt a weight lift from her shoulders. She had won. She had finally broken free. As they walked out of the train car, leaving the chaos behind, Adrian took Maya's hands in his. "It's over. We are free." Maya smiled, but deep down, she knew this was only the beginning of their new life. The road ahead would be difficult, but for the first time, she truly felt free. The sun was setting as Maya and Adrian walked hand in hand through the quiet streets of the small town near the border. The sounds of the city had faded. For the first time in what felt like forever, they could breathe without the constant fear of being hunted. Adrian looked at Maya, his expression softening as the tension from the previous days slowly ebbed away. "We did it. We are really free, Maya." Maya smiled, but there was sadness in her eyes. "Are we?" she asked quietly, her voice filled with doubt. Adrian stopped walking, turning to face her. "Maya, we've escaped. We are starting over. That's more than we could have ever hoped for." Maya sighed, looking down at their joined hands. "I don't know, Adrian. I've spent my whole life running from him, from my family, from the expectations. But what if it is not enough? What if I'm always running from something?" Adrian gently lifted her chin, making her meet his gaze. "You're not running anymore, Maya. You are living. We are living." Maya's heart ached as she stared into Adrian's eyes. For the first time, she realized that the life she had been living wasn't truly her own. It was shaped by her family, by Raj's control. But now, with Adrian by her side, she could finally make her own choices. "I know," she whispered, the weight of it sinking in. "It's just, I've never had the chance to really choose before. This is all so new to me." Adrian smiled, brushing a strand of hair from her face. Then let's choose together, one day at a time. With those words, Maya felt a spark of hope. They had been through so much, but in this moment, surrounded by uncertainty, they had each other, and that was enough. The days following their escape was filled with a mixture of relief and apprehension. Maya and Adrian settled into their new life in the small town. Adrian found work as a freelance designer, and Maya enrolled in the local university to continue her studies. They were both determined to build a future, but the road ahead wasn't as easy as they had hoped. Maya still couldn't shake the sense of loss that lingered in her heart. She had left everything behind, her family, her old life, and while she was free from Raj's control, she felt the weight of the choices she had made. One afternoon, as she was walking back from the university, Maya received an unexpected call. It was from Anaya. Maya, Anaya's voice sounded urgent on the other end of the line. I need to talk to you, it's important. Maya's heart skipped a beat. Anaya, what's going on? I'm at the old house. Raj, he's planning something. It's not going to stop until he gets you back. You need to know this. Maya's breath caught in her throat. What do you mean? How do you know this? I've been keeping an eye on things, Anaya replied, her voice low. Raj is furious. He's even making arrangements with people from the past, people who can help him track you down. You're not safe, Maya, not yet. Maya's stomach dropped. Even though they had escaped Raj's direct control, it seemed like his grip on her life was far from over. Thank you for telling me, Anaya, Maya said, her voice tight. I'll figure something out. As she hung up the phone, she turned to see Adrian walking toward her, a smile on his face. But when he saw the look on her face, his expression changed. What's wrong? He asked, his voice filled with concern. Maya took a deep breath. Raj isn't done with us, Adrian. He's still coming for me. He won't stop until he gets me back. Adrian's face darkened. We knew it wasn't over, but now we have to be smarter. We can't let him destroy what we've built. Maya nodded, her heart heavy. She had hoped that their escape would be the end of the battle, but it seemed that the real fight was just beginning. The next few days were filled with tension. Maya and Adrian could no longer ignore the looming threat from Raj. He had already proven that he wouldn't let them live in peace, and Maya feared the worst. Despite their efforts to live quietly in a small town, the shadows of their past were closing in on them once again. Adrian was out one afternoon, trying to get more work as a freelance designer, when Maya received another unexpected call. This time, it was from someone she never thought she would hear from again, Vinod. Maya. Vinod's voice came through the phone, low and measured. I know you probably don't trust me, but I need to warn you. Raj is gathering people from your old life. He's using his influence to find you. He's more dangerous than you realize. Maya's heart pounded in her chest. Why are you telling me this now, Vinod? What do you want from me? I want to help, Vinod replied, his voice calm. I didn't want to, but things have changed. Raj is getting desperate, and if he gets his hands on you, he won't stop until you are his again. Maya was torn. On one hand, she didn't want to trust someone like Vinod, who had played both sides. On the other hand, his information had proven valuable when they were trying to escape. Could he be trusted now? I'm listening, Maya said, the weight of the decision pressing down on her. What do you suggest? I can help you disappear again, Vinod offered, but this time, you will have to cut all ties to your past completely. No more contact with anyone, not even Adrian. If you want to survive, you have to leave everything behind. Maya felt a wave of dread wash over her. Was she really willing to go that far, to leave Adrian behind after everything they had been through? But the threat of Raj's wrath was too great, and she knew that they couldn't outrun him forever. Let me talk to Adrian, Maya said finally. I will need to discuss this with him first. Maya sat quietly at a small kitchen table, her mind racing. She had to make a choice: continue running, hiding from her past, or accept Venus's help and risk losing everything she had with Adrian. Adrian walked into the apartment, his face lighting up when he saw her. "Hey, how was your day?" he asked, sensing something was off. Maya looked at him, her heart heavy with the burden of the decision she had to make. She had never imagined she would be in this position, having to choose between her freedom and the love of her life. "I got a call from Vinod," she said softly. "He says Raj is gathering people from my old life to track us down. He wants to help, but it comes at a price." Then raised an eyebrow. "A price? What kind of price?" Maya hesitated before continuing. "Vinod says that if we want to disappear for good, we will have to cut all ties. No more contact with anyone, no family, no friends, not even you. We'll have to start over completely without looking back." Adrian's face darkened. "Maya, you can't be serious. You are talking about leaving everything behind, including me. We've come this far together. We are finally building something." "I know," Maya whispered, her voice breaking. "But if we don't take this chance, Raj will find us. He will never stop. And I can't risk that happening. Not after everything we've been through." Adrian looked at her and took a deep breath, running a hand through his hair. He could see the pain in Maya's eyes, the fear that had been with her for so long, but he also saw the love between them, the bond that had grown stronger through every trial they had faced. "I don't want to lose you, Maya," Adrian said quietly, "but I won't let you make this decision alone. If this is the only way to keep us safe, then I'm with you. I will go wherever you go. If we have to disappear again, we will do it together." Maya's heart swelled with emotion. "Adrian, we will start over," Adrian continued, his voice resolute. "No matter where we are, as long as we are together, we will make it work." Maya's eyes filled with tears as she looked at him, her love for him deeper than ever. "I don't know what I'd do without you." Adrian pulled her into a tight embrace, and for a moment, the world outside seemed to disappear. They had faced so much together, and now they would face this challenge as well. But there was one thing that would remain certain: no matter what happened, they were stronger together. As they stood there, holding each other, Maya knew the road ahead would not be easy, but with Adrian by her side, she finally felt like she had something worth fighting for. Maya and Adrian sat together, the weight of the decision hanging heavily in the air. Venus' offer to help them disappear was tempting, but as the hours passed, they both knew it wasn't an easy choice. They had finally carved out a life for themselves, a life built on the love and trust they had found despite the forces working against them. Adrian glanced at Maya, his hand resting on hers. "We can't just walk away from everything, not everything we've built, Maya." "I know," Maya whispered, "but if Raj finds us again, we won't have a chance. He won't stop, Adrian. And I can't bear the thought of losing you, or worse, him taking you away from me." Adrian stood and paced the room, frustration written across his face. "But we can't live like this forever, always looking over our shoulders, hiding. That's not living, that is surviving." Maya stood up, walking into the window, gazing out at the quiet street beyond. The small town they had chosen as their refuge seemed like a dream, a fleeting moment of peace. But even here, the shadow of Raj's wrath loomed. If we run again, we will never be free. We will always be looking behind us, always afraid of what's next, Maya said softly. But if we fight, and if we stay and stand up to him, we will stand up to him once and for all. Adrian turned toward her, her eyes full of resolve. Then we fight together. The decision was made. They wouldn't run anymore. They would face Raj and the life he had controlled for so long. Maya knew it wasn't going to be easy, but for the first time in a long time, she felt a sense of urgency. She was no longer running from her past, she was confronting it. The tension between Maya and Adrian, the shadow of Raj's pursuit, had come to a head. Maya, resolute in her choice, called Vinod one last time. They had arranged a meeting to discuss the final steps. But as she prepared for the confrontation, Maya couldn't shake the feeling that this was the moment that would define the rest of their lives. Vinod met them in a quiet cafe on the outskirts of town. His demeanor cold, but with an underlying sense of urgency. Maya, Adrian, he said, his voice low. You've made the right choice, but know this, Raj won't go down easily. He's got a plan. His men are closing in. Maya nodded, the weight of it all settling heavily on her. We are ready. We are not running anymore. This ends now. Vinod's gaze flickered between the two of them. You think you can take on Raj and win? He's not someone you can defeat so easily. His reach is everywhere. Adrian stepped forward, his jaw clenched. We don't have a choice. We can't live like this anymore. If we don't stop him now, he'll keep coming for us forever. Vinod steadied them for a moment before nodding slowly. Very well. If you are truly ready, then I will help you. But know that this fight will be your last. Either you end Raj's reign or he end yours. Maya's heart raised as the reality of their situation set in. This was it, the final battle for their freedom, for their love. Raj's influence had been the barrier between them and the life they wanted, but now it was time to tear it down. Over the next few days, Vinod helped them prepare, organizing their resources and gathering those who were willing to take down Raj once and for all. Maya had never felt so determined, but also so terrified. Her father's empire was vast, and his reach had always been suffocating. But she no longer feared him in the same way. She had Adrian by her side. The final showdown happened one late night. When Raj's men stormed the location where Maya and Adrian had been hiding, the quiet time was turned into a battlefield as the two sides clashed in a tense, calculated confrontation. Maya and Adrian stood back to back, adrenaline coursing through their veins as they fought to protect each other and their future. As the fight raged on, Raj's voice could be heard, booming in the distance. Maya, you cannot hide from your bloodline. Come to me, or I'll make you regret it. Maya's heart pounded as she heard her father's voice for the last time. It was a moment she had long feared, but now she felt nothing but the strength of her resolve. She had chosen this life with Adrian, and nothing, not even Raj, could take that from her. At one final decisive move, Maya and Adrian stood face to face with Raj. It was the culmination of everything they had fought for. Raj stood before them, anger and disbelief in his eyes. You think you can defeat me? Raj growled, his hand reaching for his gun, but Maya stepped forward, her voice steady and full of finality. I don't need to defeat you, Raj. I just need to walk away. Adrian stood beside her, unflinching. We are done, Raj. This ends now. For the first time, Raj hesitated. His gaze flickered with uncertainty. The empire he had spent his life building was crumbling before his eyes, and in that moment, Maya realized that his power was an illusion. It has always been an illusion. With a final, sharp glance at his daughter and the man she had chosen, Raj turned and walked away, vanishing into the night. As the dust settled and the chaos faded, Maya turned to Adrian, a mixture of relief and exhaustion in her eyes. It is over. We are finally free. Adrian smiled, pulling her into his arms. Yes, Maya, we are. Together, they stood in the quiet aftermath, knowing that the road ahead would not be without its challenges. But for the first time, they truly felt free. The world was theirs to rebuild. side by side.